My wife, Jessica, and I were the perfect couple, or so everyone thought. We'd been married for 7 years, high school sweethearts, who built a life together. I adored her. I thought she felt the same way. But for the past year, something felt off. She was distant, always on the phone, and our conversations became shallow, like we were strangers sharing a house. She started working late more often. "Big project at work," she'd say, looking exhausted. I tried to be supportive, bringing her dinner to the office, but she'd get irritated. "You don't need to do that, Mark. I'm busy." Then there were the girls' nights that became a weekly thing. I trusted her, I really did, but a knot of suspicion started to form in my stomach, a cold, hard feeling that I couldn't shake. The first real crack appeared on our anniversary. I had planned a surprise weekend getaway to the same cabin where I proposed. When I told her, she looked panicked, not excited. "Oh, Mark, I can't. My boss just scheduled a mandatory team-building retreat this weekend. I'm so sorry." A mandatory retreat on a weekend. It sounded flimsy. I tried to hide my disappointment, but it stung. That night, I couldn't sleep. The doubt was eating me alive. So, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked our shared phone records. It was a desperate move, but I had to know, and there it was. Hundreds of calls and texts to a number I didn't recognize. The calls were late at night, sometimes for hours. The number belonged to a man named Alex, a new colleague she had mentioned in passing a few months ago. My heart sank. This wasn't just a work project. Instead of confronting her, I decided to play the long game. I needed proof, undeniable proof. I acted like the same loving, slightly clueless husband. I kept making her favorite meals, asking about her day, and telling her I loved her. Inside, I was a wreck. Every smile she gave me felt like a betrayal. Every "I love you too" was a dagger in my heart. I hired a private investigator. It felt surreal, like something out of a movie. I gave him Alex's name and the dates of her work trips. 2 weeks later, he called me. "I have what you need," he said. He emailed me a folder of pictures. My hands were shaking as I clicked open the file. There they were. Jessica and Alex, holding hands, kissing, checking into a hotel during our team-building retreat. They looked so happy, so carefree. It was like a physical blow. I couldn't breathe. All the air was sucked out of the room. The woman I had spent a decade of my life with was a complete stranger. That's when the sadness turned into a cold, calculated anger. She didn't just cheat. She was living a double life, funded by my hard work. We had a joint savings account, money I was putting away for a down payment on our dream house. She had been draining it, little by little, for her romantic getaways with Alex. My revenge wouldn't be about shouting or breaking things. It would be precise. It would be financial. I spent the next month meticulously preparing. I consulted a lawyer who specialized in messy divorces. He advised me on how to protect my assets. Step 1 was to separate our finances. I opened a new bank account in my name and started redirecting my salary there. I slowly moved my half of the savings into the new account, leaving just enough in the joint account to avoid suspicion. I also found out more about Alex. He was a smooth talker who had a reputation for dating married women. He wasn't some successful colleague. He was a mid-level manager with a mountain of debt. Jessica was likely bankrolling their entire affair. This made my plan even sweeter. The DD I chose was her birthday. I told her I had a huge surprise planned. She was giddy with excitement, probably thinking I was going to give her an expensive gift she could show off to Alex. I told her to get dressed up because we were going to a fancy restaurant. She spent hours getting ready, looking more beautiful than ever. It was a cruel irony. We arrived at the restaurant, and I led her to a private room. She looked around, confused. "Where's everyone?" she asked. I just smiled. "They'll be here soon." A few minutes later, the door opened. It wasn't our friends. It was my lawyer, followed by 2 other people. One was Jessica's father, and the other was Alex's wife. Yes, it turned out Alex was married to a fact he had conveniently hidden from Jessica. The color drained from Jessica's face. She looked from me to her father, then to the stunned woman standing next to him. Alex's wife, A woman named Sarah was holding a stack of papers. They were copies of the same photos the PI had given me. "Happy birthday, Jessica," I said, my voice calm and steady. I thought it was time for everyone to finally meet. Jessica started to stammer. "Mark, what is this? Who are these people?" Her father, a man I'd always respected, looked at her with pure disappointment. "I think you know what this is, Jessica." Sarah stepped forward. "So you're the one?" she said, her voice shaking with rage. "You're the one my husband has been spending our kids' college fund on." Chaos erupted. Jessica tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. The photos, the bank statements I had printed out, showing her withdrawals, the text messages Sarah had found on her husband's phone. It was all there. Her perfect world crumbled in a matter of minutes. Her father was heartbroken. He told her he was ashamed of her. Sarah informed her she would be named in her divorce proceedings against Alex. And me. I simply placed the divorce papers on the table in front of her. "I've moved out," I said quietly. "All of your things are still at the house. You have 30 days to collect them before they're donated. The joint accounts have been frozen, and my lawyer will be in touch about the division of assets, which, thanks to this," I gestured to the evidence, "will be heavily in my favor." She broke down, sobbing, begging for forgiveness. She said it was a mistake, that she loved me. But, I felt nothing. The man who had loved her was gone, replaced by someone who had seen the truth. I looked at her one last time, this woman who is now a stranger to me, and walked out of the restaurant without looking back. The divorce was brutal, but I got everything I wanted. She was left with nothing but debt and a reputation in tatters. Alex's wife divorced him, and he lost his job when the scandal hit their office. They tried to stay together, but without my money to fund their lifestyle, their relationship imploded. It took me a long time to heal. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined, but rebuilding my life from the ground up made me stronger. I started my own business, reconnected with friends, and learned to trust again, starting with myself. Sometimes, the end of one story is the necessary, painful beginning of a much better one. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that you're not alone and that it does get better. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time.